The views, comments, and opinions of the following program do not necessarily reflect those of Morris Media Studios, MorrisMediaLive.com, or its affiliates. Listener discretion is advised.
As a small biz pro, so we roll, using procurement, program, and control. As a small biz pro, so we grow, using procurement, program, and control. Yeah, I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. Oh yeah, I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. Oh yeah, I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Business Zone with Crystal, Gilbert, and Don. Neither one of them are here right now. Gilbert's on his way, and it is Friday, February 8th. We're second week into Black History Month, and I've been having a great month, have some great classes. The digital marketing classes is going on fantastic, and it's Black History Month. So I'm really excited about that. You know, I actually prefer, I look at Black History Month being all year round. But, you know, if they're going to give us a month to actually celebrate us and it's all highlighted on us, I'll take it. So today we're going to, we got some phenomenal guests coming into the studio today. I have Mr. Michael Larson, from the CEO and president of the Los Angeles Urban League. And I have Ms. Shawn White, who is a corporate attorney. And we're going to talk about Black History Month and the economic status of the Black community and what we need to do to make our community that much better and really get us moving. Excited about that. You know, we're at a place right now where it's about us and about nobody else. We got to take care of ourselves. So so we just got to do what we got to do, and we got to start coming together to do that and not waiting for someone else to do that. But while we're waiting for Gilbert to come in, I want to do some highlights on Black History Month. And so as of last week, I did highlighting our women who've done some things and broke some barriers and just became the first women, and they were pretty powerful. So today we're focusing on those individuals that were Black innovators and inventors. And some of them I didn't even know about, and I think I'm pretty good at research, but, you know, some of them are, you know, we've done so much, and our history has been hidden from us for so long. And thank God for the internet, because the internet has brought all our stuff right there and open. That was probably the worst thing they could have done, was created the internet and allowed us to have access to it, because now our people are waking up and they're learning new things about themselves, and hopefully it's empowering them to go out and do some fantastic things on their own, recognizing that we did not begin when they stole us and brought us to the United States and to America. That's not where we began. We began way before that time. But we're going to talk about the ones that actually helped make America great. And some of this stuff I didn't know. It was actually kind of interesting. A lot of it is actually pretty interesting. So I've discovered 14, or I found information on 14 Black innovators and inventors that created some stuff that you and I use every single day. And who knew that this was created by Black people? But I'm so proud of our people, because we are very, very talented, very skilled, and they just told us that we weren't, but we really are. So the very first one up is Dr. Shirley Jackson. She's an American physicist, and she received her PhD from Massachusetts Institute of Technology in 1973. She was the first African-American woman to earn a doctorate in nuclear physics at MIT. And in addition to her length of academic achievements, she also has an impressive number of inventions under her belt. So one of the things that she invented was she paved the way for numerous developments in telecommunications space, including the touch-tone telephone, the portable fax, caller ID, call waiting, and fiber optics cable. And today, Dr. Jackson is the 18th president of Rensselaer Polytechnology Institute in Troy, New York. So our guest actually may know of that because she was out of New York. Our next inventor is Mr. Louis Latimer. And Louis, he is a inventor. He was born in 1848 and died in 1928. And his development and what he did, he was an inventor and draftsman. Thank you. Hey guys, Jackie, Maxine, Elijah, and Jerry, welcome. And Clifton, welcome to the Business Zone. So what did he invent? He was an inventor and engineer. Louis was born in Chelsea, Massachusetts on September 4th, 1848, and he collaborated with science greats like Hiram Maxim and Thomas Edison. One of his greatest inventions was the carbon filament, a viable component of the light bulb. His inventions didn't stop there. He worked with Alexander Graham Bell. Latimer helped draft the patent for the Bell design for the telephone. This genius also designed an improved railroad car bathroom and the early air conditioning unit. So next time you want to escape from a hot day, realize that Mr. Latimer helped you do that. Our next person is Maria Van Bitten Brown. She was born in 1922 and she died in 1999. Did you know that the first home security was invented by a black nurse? That's Miss Brown. Although she was a full-time nurse, she recognized security threats to her home and devised a system that would alert her of strangers at her door and contact relevant authorities as quickly as possible. So her early inventions, or her original inventions, consisted of the peepholes, a camera, monitors, and a two-way microphone. The finishing touch was an alarm button that, when pressed, would immediately contact the police. So that's actually the ADP system, isn't it? So her patents laid the groundwork for the modern closed-circuit television systems that is widely used for surveillance, home security systems, push-button alarm triggers, crime prevention, and traffic monitoring. Next one up is Otis Boykin. And Mr. Boykin was born in 1920 and he died in 1982. His most notable contribution to science was likely the current improvements, the circuit improvements he made to pacemakers after losing his mother to heart failure, a contribution that has saved countless lives since that. He has 26 patents in his name and is famed for the development of the IBM computers, burglar-proof cash registers, chemical air filters, and an electric resistor used in controlled missiles and other devices. Our next one up is Mr. Lonnie Johnson. Now, you may know about this guy because I remember a couple years ago, he actually made the news. He was born in 1949 and he's still alive, and he's an aerospace engineer, and he created what he's known for, what you may know for, is that he gave us the most famous water gun, the Super Soaker. So you guys probably heard about that on the news. I know I did. He wasn't a toy maker. He was actually an aerospace engineer for NASA with a resume boosting a stint with the U.S. Air Force, worked on the Galileo Jupiter probe and Mars Observer project, and he has more than 40 patents under his belt. So, and this guy I know you know, and he also converts heat directly into energy, but the squirt gun is what everybody knows him about. Dr. Charles Drew, we all know about him. I think we actually did learn about him in school. There was a very few people they let us know about. George Washington Carver, obviously. Some things they wanted to keep secret. I don't know why, but they did. But Dr. Drew is a physician and a medical researcher, and the Charles Drew Hospital is named after him. Dr. Drew is the person that Thanks to him, blood is available. He was a physician and surgeon and medical researcher and worked with a team at Red Cross on groundbreaking discoveries around blood transfusion. So I think you do know about him. He invented and got ready, and he also invented and get ready, because his name is pretty charming, blood mobiles. These are refrigerated trucks that today transport blood throughout the country for anyone that needs a blood transfusion. So he's a prominent doctor in his field and one of the only African Americans during a time when blood donation was still separate along the lines of race. Drew eventually resigned from his position with American Red Cross, and in 1950, the Red Cross finally recognized all blood being equal. Our next one up, and my co-host just stepped in, so you can slide on in. Our next one up is Mary and I am talking about the 14 black inventors that some of them that we don't even know about. I didn't know about, but you may know about. But the one we're talking about now is Marion Cloak. And Marion Cloak was inducted into the Women Technology International Hall of Fame, and a move that recognizes her remarkable achievements in tech. She holds over 135 patents, primarily in voice over internet protocol, which is VoIP, and some in other areas. She has over 100 patents currently under review. Today, she's the SVP at AT&T and serves as a mentor for women in the AT&T labs, and sits on the board of the Holocaust and Genocide and Human Rights Educational Center.
I think we deserve to say her name again.
Her name is Marion Cloak.
Marion Cloak.
Croak. Never heard of her, right?
Never heard of her, but you know what? She's phenomenal.
She's phenomenal, huh?
She is phenomenal. And see, a lot of us probably thought that internet video IP stuff wasn't done by her. It was done by someone else.
I'm sure we did.
Maybe someone in a foreign country, right?
Yeah, probably. And right now, a lot of people I know, at my home, we just switched over to a VoIP system.
Yeah.
And who knew?
I'm telling you. And it's been out there for a while. It just wasn't getting the kind of recognition that it deserved.
Yeah.
But slowly but surely, see, what happened is this system, this method of communication was out there for a long time, but no one really knew about it until companies like Vonage and others start incorporating that.
Right, exactly.
Then we start hearing about it, and people start thinking that was the first time it was about. But she invented it a long time ago.
She did that in 2003. Let's see, when did she do that? It was probably her that did it.
That's what I'm saying.
That's her patent. So she's probably, but nobody's ever mentioned that was a woman. No one mentioned it. Even when they talk about women in tech,
they won't talk about it.
I've never heard this name.
And that's why we wanted to repeat her name again.
Yeah, because I've never ever heard her name. Another young lady, her name is Lisa. I'm gonna attempt to say her name. Her name is Lisa Gilbert.
How do you spell it?
Gelobter. I guess it's Gelopter.
Okay.
Gelopter, I guess. Yeah. So she invented the genesis of animation on the web.
Wow. See, we do those animations all the time, and we don't know where they're coming from.
Right. So I
got one on my commercial.
Yeah, the GIF, the DIF. Yeah, that's her. This is her invention.
Wow.
And she was involved with the advent of shockwave, a technology that formed the beginning of web animation. She also played a major role in the emergence of online video, later serving as a senior management team at Hulu. Lisa was an interim head of digital for BET Networks and ran technology, product, and business operations. Today, you can catch her at the White House at the United States Digital Service, and she's currently serving as the chief Digital Service Officer with the U.S. Department of Education.
I think we need to post these great innovators on our website.
Well, you know what? I actually created a video.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about.
So we're going to put that up
game.
today. I'm head of the game. But who knew that, right?
Who
I
knew?
mean, I just started
Who
using
knew?
grist of those when you're on Facebook.
Yeah.
You get they do all those animations and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff
Yeah.
when you want to do a comment
Right.
and you hear something ridiculous
Yeah.
and then you come up with, it's like, what the hell?
Exactly.
And then you have somebody saying, what the hell?
Wow.
I had no idea.
That's amazing.
So, no idea.
Amazing.
And now our next guy, his name is Philip, and I assume he might be African, maybe, is Emeagwali. So I'm going to call him Emergy Wally, somebody like that. He was forced out of school at the age of 14. Mm-hmm. That didn't stop him from becoming one of the greatest computer pioneers of our time. Mm-hmm. In fact, he's often called the Bill Gates of Africa. So that's where he's from. And an American began studying, as an adult, he began studying nature, specifically bees. The construction of the honeycomb inspired him to rethink computer processing. In 1989, he put his idea to work and using 65,000 processes to invent the world's first supercomputer and able to perform 3.1 billion calculations per second.
Wow. That's phenomenal.
Now, I think I've heard them, that person not being a black person.
We never heard of these folks. So
All right.
Obviously, they're not recognizing them.
No, exactly. Then the next guy up is Mr. Jesse Ernest Wilkins Jr., finally a name I can pronounce. He is one of America's most important contemporary mathematicians. At 13, he became the University of Chicago's youngest student, and Wilkins continued his studies there, earned his bachelor's, master's, and eventually earning his doctorate in mathematics at the age of 19. Tell me black folks ain't bad.
That's genius stuff right there. That is genius.
And he's actually from the city I'm from. Mm-hmm. He published papers in mathematics, optics, and nuclear engineering as a mathematician for the American Optical Company in Buffalo, New York. He perfected lens design for microscopes and ophthalmology uses. His greatest contribution to scholarship was the development of mathematical models to gain gamma radiation in his work on developing a shielding against gamma radiation. Goodness
that is
gracious.
Amazing. That is amazing.
So those are, there's a couple others. I'll save them for next week, but that is
a tribute to African American heritage.
And that was celebrating our legacy.
Oh, yes.
So, wow.
That's phenomenal.
We're about more than just dance sports.
That's why we want to take Small Biz Pro to the greater level.
There you go. Look at that. We're going to be reading about you
That's
soon.
what I'm talking about. We're going to be taking it to a greater level. As a matter of fact, I'm just coming from a presentation over at USC. They loved the program. I did a pitch.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I met this gentleman there who runs an incubator.
Oh.
And he loves it. He's going, let's try to get this for our entrepreneurs, but he loves it. And then yesterday I met with Economic Alliance in the Valley.
Okay.
They love it. So they've got this women's entrepreneurship program that they want to use it for.
Okay. Well, you're on the move, dude.
Oh, I'm telling you, man, my job is to get all small minority and women-owned businesses using Small Biz Pro to manage their business.
I think that's an excellent
That's my goal. Right now, I'm getting ready to sign an agreement with the veterans, the U.S. Veterans Business Alliance. Mm-hmm. I'm getting ready to sign an agreement where I'm going to have them use Small Biz Pro for free. I won't charge them for it because they're veterans.
Okay.
You see what I mean? No one really takes care of them. No one gives them any assistance in terms of entrepreneurship. So I want to be that person who allows them to use the system for free to run their business.
Oh, fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'm happy for you
Oh,
because
yeah.
I know you put a lot of it.
Oh,
You've
yeah.
been working on this for a while, and it's time for it.
It's time for us to reap.
We need to have you. You know, the guy that invented the.
my picture should be on there next.
Right, should be there next. And,
Going, hey.
Right, because we do know that for our small businesses, every advantage, they need every advantage they can get.
For sure.
It's just necessary because
And
that's how we're going to make some changes.
The thing is, if we don't take the advantage, the competition will take it.
They'll take the competition.
See what I mean?
Exactly.
That's it.
So, you know, in my space, I'm doing let's see, Mr. Larson's outside, but no interest. LeBron, Mr. Larson can't get in. Can we help him? Thank you. The digital marketing class. Mm-hmm. So we did something a little different. We are actually reconstructing how our people think.
Very good.
And so they are, we actually had an online class.
Yeah, they told me there was going to be one. They told me because some of your people
are in your.
They come to my class.
Okay, all right.
So they come to mine on Tuesday, then they come to yours on Wednesday.
Well, we actually, that's right, because Clint Johnson is. Yeah. You're right.
Yeah.
So we had an online class. Now, here's the thing. We went through a whole process to make sure that they could get on. So I sent out a blast the day before and giving them the instructions how to get on Zoom and how to sign it up. And
Did you record it?
We did record it. Yes. And then we wanted them to all get there. We didn't want to have the struggles of it on the day of, which was Wednesday. When and it blew Armin away because we literally had 21 people all registered with no issues at all on getting on.
That's phenomenal.
Some of them were there when I sent the information. Some of them actually came on, or
early.
at least they were there like at 4. I was talking to Armin trying to get it all set up, and I said, well, there's 3 people already on, and we're not going on until 6:30.
That's great.
And so they were all on, and then we recorded it, and we operated, and were raising hands, and they just got such a kick out of it.
That is great.
Yeah.
That is great. I can't wait to see the recording.
So I'll send you over the recording. So what we did was we're having a deep dive WordPress a hands-on workshop next week in boot camp. So this will be their first paid because we've been doing this. You know, the introduction has been free. Yeah. So we're doing the deep dive boot camp so that so that they can really start to customize their sites. So we told them what we needed, and we went through and explained what they needed to do. Yeah. So on Wednesday we'll have a hands-on workshop. And then they will come prepared.
That's good.
They like the fact that it was, they love it that it's online. So you know who's in our class, right? Anissa? Anissa is having a phenomenal
she's
time.
In the class?
Yeah, she is so excited. In fact, hey, Michael, when she came, when we told him we weren't going to have a class, on Thursday, and I was trying to decide where the class was going to be because we were giving the Urban League a little break and Bonnie a little break. And I said, so we got a momentum going, so we don't want to do that. But I also wanted to we'd have to spread out the umbilical cord a little bit because this becomes an independent thing. If you're going to make money on the internet, you got to figure out how to, there got to be some autonomy to it. Right. So I said, well, let's try this. And they just loved it. So we'll probably do one class a month online. And then that gets, because that's really where I want to teach.
And then that would get me involved even more because then wherever I am, I can log in.
You can just log in.
That's
and
great.
so, and they just absolutely loved it. So we'll be doing that. So next week we'll be having our first deep dive WordPress. We now have 17 bloggers. Yeah.
That's great.
And and here's something interesting. So we run one of Armin's clients, which is called Pinch of Yum, they have a food blog, right? So Armin's been using their site as a diagram of how and how much money, because these people are quite successful at this, and they've been doing it since 2011.
Yeah.
And they started from scratch, and they've built up. They have like 4.3 million people following them, right? Which means they're making astronomical amounts of money, right? And so he got a call from the guy that actually runs the site the other day to have him help him with something.
Yeah.
So Armin was telling him, he goes, that is absolutely fantastic.
It is.
And so we're going to work on maybe him coming on the show.
Oh, very
Get
good.
him on the show.
Very good.
And, they run 2 blogs. They have the food blog, and then they have how to have a food blog. So the wife runs the food blog, and then he runs the other one, and they make just ridiculous kind of money on it.
They're definitely poster children for this program.
Because you know what? As I say, for us to move, and I mean black people in our businesses, there has to be money. So however we can get these people to get money, because they're not going to get it through loans.
Yeah.
But you cannot run a business on a marginal budget of nothing.
No, you can't.
you gotta have some money.
Because entrepreneurship means that things will happen when you least expect.
Right.
And you got to be ready to sustain that.
Right.
So
with the methodologies, with the affiliate marketing, and I've already made $600 on my affiliate with my Blue Hose. All right. And then I'm getting ready to, hey, you better get on.
That's what
I'm saying. I'm getting ready to have a QuickBooks class.
Oh, wow.
So now I got my little affiliate link for you to purchase on sale right now, QuickBooks.
Are you going to do it on Zoom?
No, I'm going to actually do that one in person.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think for QuickBooks it has to be
in person.
But I'm doing an accounting class right now at the Urban League, and we got 2 more weeks, and I'm going to start doing that one online. I think that one will work online.
I think that's an excellent idea. I know we got to go to a break here. I've got about a minute of that. But I think that's phenomenal, Crystal.
Yeah, so we gotta get you online. We can actually do a class online.
That's what I'm saying. So let's sit down and write that so we can do it.
Yeah,
because I'm ready.
You ready? You ready to do online? Yeah, because you travel. You do way too much traveling, all up and down. You don't even like to fly that much. You certainly don't like to drive that much.
I don't.
So this will be perfect for you.
But like Tiffany Haddish said, I'm ready.
You ready? Okay, we're ready. Well, before we go to break, let me just do this real quick before in the event that I don't have time.
Yeah.
So, guys, Saturday, I have the honor of speaking at the 4th Annual Women's Economic Empowerment Afternoon Tea Scholarship Fundraiser. So I will be speaking there at 11 tomorrow, and it's tea. And so the ladies are coming in tea party attire,
all right,
and with beautiful adorned hats. I'm not wearing a hat, but I am wearing my African
That's
attire.
What I'm talking about,
you like
girl.
that?
Queen Nefertiti.
Queen Nefertiti. And I went over to my little African shop in Inglewood. So I want everybody to go over to the quartet. It's called what is it called? Quartet Couture is on Market Street. The young lady and her husband are absolutely, Suzanne and her husband, he's the tailor and he makes the clothes.
Yeah.
And they just have a wonderful shop. So it's Black History Month. You guys all need your African Wakanda outfit. So get over there. They got great prices and she's just absolutely phenomenal.
I hear
so
that.
I told her I was promoting her on the show today.
That's good.
And I'm building my Wakanda, so I brought a top.
Yeah.
And I got 2 more tops that I'm going to, so that's going to be, I'm going to eventually be wearing all
That's
African
what I'm
attire.
talking about. Now,
I'm embracing my Africanness.
Before we take a quick break, I want to mention this real quickly. Most of you may have known that James Ingram, an R&B singer, he died about 2 weeks ago. And
but why did it just hit the paper and just enter that yesterday?
They just put it in the Los Angeles Sentinel because they're sending a lot of tribute and respect to him on here. But he's a phenomenal singer. He sang with all kinds of great people, Patty Austin, Michael Jackson. He was part of the Quincy Jones collage of artists, the We Are
awesome.
the World.
I grew up with him.
Yeah. So he's just phenomenal. He died at age 66. And if you see his picture, man, look at that picture.
Yeah, he looked
Very
actually pretty
familiar.
good. He had cancer, didn't he?
Yeah. I think they said multiple sclerosis and another muscular problem. But these are things that are attacking our community, and we need to be aware of these things. We need to pay attention. We get a little symptom, we need to jump on it. I was having a lunch meeting earlier with a sister from the CDC, and she said she was going in her car yesterday. She opened the trunk, you know, those automatic trunk that goes up and came down, hit her in the head.
Oh my God!
And she just started feeling dizzy, and then all of a sudden she wanted to sleep. I said, "No, don't go to sleep.
Oh, because she had a concussion.
And now she's feeling it more today.
Oh, she needs to go to the doctor.
That's exactly what I told her. But things like those can take us out. So we really need to pay attention. And, you know, that's part of what went on here. So I just wanted to send some, you know, much respect and big ups to this gentleman. James Ingram is phenomenal. Yeah. And he's a fabric of the African-American landscape.
R&B. Yeah, he's really, that's, and we got to take care of some other stuff. You know, we got a big
I got to take care of me, too.
Yeah, you got to take care of you because you don't do that. But the other thing we don't take care of is what happens when it's time for us to leave. So there's a big thing going on the internet right now, and we can talk about it a little bit when we get back with B. Smith, that was the restaurateur, and her husband is doing all kinds of crazy things, but it turns out she seems to have no other family, no other anybody but this individual, and who's supposed to be a loving husband who just moved his side chick in to their house. It's just like, what the hell? But we need to make sure, we need to take care of business because there's things that are happening. We don't. You know,
minorities believe that if you spend money on insurance and things like that to protect yourself in the future, should something happen, that's not supposed to happen to us. You know, that's morbid. So we'll talk about this on the other side.
Right.
And it's now 3:35. And we're going to go ahead and take a quick break, and then we're going to bring up our first guest.
We're going to bring our first guest, and we're going to have some more conversation.
Excellent. So for those of you who are just tuning in, you're listening to or you're watching the Business Zone with
Crystal
and Gilbert Buchanan, your small business paramedic. Take a break.
Hello, meet Larry. Larry is a general contractor. Larry is very good at his craft, but Larry has a very tough time managing his paperwork because he is busy taking care of his clients' needs. Larry just cannot find his important business documents when needed. Larry is also being passed over for bid opportunities from prime contractors because he is perceived as not ready. He doesn't know where his business license, certifications, insurance, and other key corporate documents are located most of the time. Lucy owns an auto body and collision repair shop and has been using a business management and procurement assistance program called Small Biz Pro to keep her business organized, business ready, contract ready, and bank loan ready. Small Biz Pro is a 3-in-1 cloud-based business management, procurement, and market research assistance system designed to help businesses become business ready, contract ready, and bank loan ready. It also provides back-office operation solutions for small businesses. Lucy is able to stay ahead of her competitors because she uses Small Biz Pro to manage her business daily. Lucy just clicks on Small Biz Pro from her tablet, mobile phone, laptop, or any internet-accessible device for data retrieval, and she's got it. Lucy introduces Larry to Small Biz Pro, and now Larry is more organized and can now find all of his documents and new bid opportunities in seconds. Larry now saves $120 in labor costs for each missing or misplaced document. Just simply go to your web browser and log into smallbizpro.net and register today for a limited 30-day free trial offer. Services start as low as $1 per day. Let's put the competition out of business. Small Biz Pro. If you stay ready, you don't need to get ready. Register now at smallbizpro.net and begin saving money. Email info@smallbizpro.net or call 626-533-1186.
So we're back on the Business Zone with
Crystal.
and Gilbert Buchanan, your small business paramedic. And today, Crystal, who do we have in the studios?
Well, we have a special guest today. I am very, very honored that she is here. We just talked last night, and it just like happened.
And she said, let's do it.
Yeah, she wanted to come on, and
That's
like we
great.
want to have you, and it just worked out perfectly. So
That's
today
how-
we have two attorneys.
That's
in
how
different
entrepreneurship
spaces,
works.
and they're both here to talk about
Beautiful.
what they do. Miss Shawn White. First, I want to let you guys know, Alicia's been here. Alicia Matson White has been here.
She sat in.
White Matson has
Yeah.
been here as a co-host, and she's the founder of the Bella Network. And so this young lady is a Bella, and she's also the sister of Alicia.
Very nice.
Of Alicia. She's a West Coast native and result-oriented executive, community servant, and a lawyer with a superior record for designing complex partnerships, gaining consensus, and spearheading meaningful, positive, and sustainable change. She served as the chief counsel to a private foundation. She head of global contracting for technology nonprofit, the first internal general counsel at a black-owned bank, a VP and business development counsel in the law department of a Fortune 50 financial services company, and a corporate associate in the international practice of AM 100 law firms. She has worked on broad ranges of global finance transactions, mergers and acquisitions, joint ventures, global partnerships, philanthropic efforts, and licensing deal, program-related investments, grant-making, her activities, and which I guess it's assuming financial tech initiatives and general regulation matters. And through her career, she has blended her passion for driving inclusive growth with her acumen in business to address economic insecurity and inequality. Throughout her life, she has actively pursued travel opportunities and an interest sparked by her parents in hosting an exchange student and her own junior year of high school spent in Spain at the age of 6. And she's always traveling. I think last year you were in Israel and Dubai. You were all over the place last year. Every time I looked it up, there was a picture of her somewhere on some monument somewhere
We're gonna
in
have to
another
get
country.
You have to get her own private jet.
Yeah, her own private jet. You
Yeah.
need your own jet. Well, welcome.
Thank
Glad
you.
to have
Welcome,
you.
Ms. White.
Thank you for being here. And we had a lively conversation. She would come to the Bella conferences, and she was around there, but you didn't really get, because you were working a lot. Yeah, and so now I'm pleased, and we had a great conversation about our community last night.
Absolutely.
And when you meet people that want to make a change and want to help in the changing process that has to take place in our community so that we can grow and become successful. It's great. That's great stuff.
Beautiful.
Yeah. That's
Well,
great
welcome to the
synergy.
Business Zone.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for having me. One of the things that I was always impressed by at those conferences, whenever you and I were on the side talking, was that I really felt that our heads were in the same place and that our hearts were in the same place around really wanting to see economic development for our community. And so I'm, one, happy to be here, and two, just really excited to be sitting next to a kindred spirit and to have just met Gilbert.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate
There will be
it.
synergies for all of us.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's because, as I said, my passion, I love being black, and I'm unapologetically black. I don't have a problem telling anybody that, but what hurts is that we just haven't grown to our potential. And of course, there's some situations that prevent that from happening, or they put obstacles in our places that prevents that happening, but not going to stop us.
Not at all. And I think some of what you mentioned in your intro about really highlighting some of our success stories is that we have been successful. We are successful in these areas. And so I do a lot of work in tech, and we're led to believe in many instances that we don't excel in math. We don't excel in science, and we look back over our history and we see that that's just not true. That we have a long example of having our predecessors and those who have paved the way in so many industries be people who look like us, who just didn't get the recognition. So, you asked me what Black History Month meant to me, and I how you started was it's a reminder of who we are, the richness of our story, that our story did not begin with the slavery story, and that's not all that we're about, even though it's not what we're taught traditionally. And then it's also an opportunity for us to take a scorecard and say, how do we leverage that to move ourselves forward? So where have we been over the last year? Where are we now? And what are our challenges? And what are the opportunities that we can take advantage of in the coming year? So, yeah, again, happy to be here.
And it's a continuation of telling our story. That's really what Black History Month and year is all about. Continuously tell the story, because one of the things we recognize in marketing is that consumers, you don't really hit them until they get the message at least 7 times. 7 times. You got to keep hitting them with the same message, because the first time they hear it, oh, I've heard that before. Oh, I'm not interested. Oh, I'll get to it later. Then the 7th time, you start seeing some kind of relevance. You're going, maybe I should pay attention. And then after you start doing that, then they start paying attention and start accepting it. So we got to keep telling that story.
Well, that's actually, again, when it comes to what this month means to me in terms of some of the challenges that I'm trying to tackle in my own personal work. And again, you mentioned I travel a lot, because a lot of what I do has been being part of an international practice at a firm and doing development deals and, really having an opportunity to see where dollars go and come from outside of this country and all of the opportunities that we have when we think of our marketplace and our consumers and our contracting way beyond the United States in terms of scope and scale. And we are respected. The Black community has, and we don't necessarily realize this, in many respects, a reputation around the world that is not exactly the same as what it is here in this country. And so we are viewed as trendsetters, tastemakers all over the world. And there are industries in Asia and Africa where we are being modeled, emulated, and really respected.
That is so true.
That's just one of those things that ends up being really important. But one of the things that I see is that we are focused on our development, again, as being something that happens here local, and we really need to broaden that focus.
Yeah, I think so. In fact, when I watch a lot of international movies, and when you look at Africa, you see us. You see them emulating. I saw a video yesterday that they were emulating to a T Michael Jackson and Nero. I mean, it down to the babies. And I'm like, wow. But we don't know that. But again, it's because the information doesn't, we're in our little cubicles, so to speak, our little silos, and we don't see a broader world. We don't even know something exists outside, in some cases, 4 blocks from where we live.
Well, not only that, they've got this propaganda campaign going on, so others will hear the negative or the not so true stuff about us, and they think it's true. So that's why we got to tell our own story.
Absolutely.
We cannot allow others to tell our story for us. Won't be the same, and it won't be factual.
No, exactly. Yeah. Which is, one of the reasons this is one of the reasons we started this show was because, one, I wanted to keep recycling Black dollars in the forefront of everybody's mind.
Absolutely.
And then, two, I think, I don't care how many times we repeat it, and if we keep repeating it and it's recorded somewhere, and we can keep reblasting and introducing people to that information, I think it's so important for us to be able to do that. Every now and then we'll boost the show on in Africa. I'll put it on Facebook, and we get, I think I boosted the show last week, and it got like 65,000 views.
Phenomenal support. Yeah. They love the Business Zone.
They love it.
Kenya, Nigeria.
It's all over the continent of Africa.
And this month is just a great opportunity because we have the spotlight on our community.
That's what I'm talking about.
Not just here, but all over the world. So you're right. When you talk about the message, someone needing to hear the message 7 times, the month of February gives us a lot of opportunities to get the message out. Not just who we celebrate, but also what our needs are, what we expect our allies in the business community to do. I'd really like to see this month not just be about the commercials and other things that celebrate our inventors and our hidden figures, but also about launching initiatives and using that airtime to say, this is what we're going to commit to for supplier diversity. This is what our initiative is going to be for the next year around specific customer base, growing a customer base, or contracting with,
or getting entrepreneurs ready.
Absolutely.
Getting them contract ready and business ready, or even bank loan ready. That's the type of thing we want to do. Now, tell us a little bit about the tech space you're in and how it relates to what you do.
Sure. So, Crystal, I do kind of any complex transaction.
Yes.
And I do traditional licensing. But one of the things that we were talking about last night that I've gotten really excited about was this new kind of AI and predictive technology that is geared around creating more metrics for lending and for qualifying businesses and individuals beyond the FICO score. And so it's something that I personally have been learning a lot about. And so I just wanted to bring it to the show as being something that people should really be looking into.
Is it something you're developing, or is it something that exists somewhere?
So there are a handful of companies, clearly because of the tech industry being focused so much still in the Bay Area and here in Los Angeles, although it's all over the country. We have a handful of companies being run by executives that have come from some of the big fish who did a lot of the algorithms around advertising, the things that make sure you're seeing the pop-ups and the ads.
Those cookies and all of that.
And recognizing that there was a benefit to a lot of the data that was being collected in the financial service space.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean when I say fintech. It's this idea that computers can, in a very brief period of time, go out and gather tremendous amounts of data. And if we can utilize that data, we can find ways to better predict or to add elements of help around qualifying businesses where maybe or entrepreneurs where maybe the FICO score is not something that's serving them.
You have got my attention 150%. Because we've been putting systems together. We all don't learn the same way, right? So some people are trying to get us to learn like other groups. It's never going to happen because our background, our environment, where we came from, it's different. So we're going to learn differently. So what you just mentioned, it's music to my ears and my heart. So what I want to do, I really would love to figure out how we can use the AI piece to create algorithms around entrepreneurs, how we can get them set up so that they can meet a certain criteria. We can work in partnership with the lenders, and contract providers, and see how we can make that work.
So this is something that got me excited. Clearly, you're as excited as I am.
Oh, yeah.
And some of the work that I've been doing has been with organizations that are focused on creating access to credit using non-traditional data, statistics, and means.
Yeah.
Now, I think that's exciting for our community because, like you said, it's not just about how we learn; it's about how we get categorized.
Oh yeah.
And there are other indications of success beyond that credit score.
Yes.
And if we rely on that, then we're never going to see the gains for black businesses here in LA or across the country, potentially because of a whole host of other socioeconomic issues that we can't get into in detail right now that have it so that the traditional means don't serve us. So
I'm going to throw something out there right now because this is an experience of mine. I dealt with a small business recently, and I found this out. So this person is a sole prop. They've been paying their mortgage, and somehow the county decided to send them a letter telling them they owe taxes, which they really don't owe. It's just the county's way of trying to collect additional money from people, so they call it supplemental tax. We don't know what supplemental tax is because you already are scheduled to pay your taxes. So because they didn't pay that, now it's on their credit report. Now it's affecting them from getting credit. Now this is a business that's been paying their bills. They've been doing what they're supposed to do. They've been generating revenues. So that algorithm you're talking about can be applied to a business like that to show, hey, this business has been paying, they've been generating revenues, they're depositing X amount in their account every month. Therefore, that FICO score stuff shouldn't apply to them. Another method should.
So I'll put on my corporate lawyer hat that says they should really hire a lawyer and really look into protecting their credit score. So one of the things is until we get to a place, and the AI is about more than just statistics that relate to them as an individual. It is copious amounts of data that are predictive around communities in a very different way. That says, how do we identify based on trends in a community who's most likely to pay and repay and who's invested in their business and other things. But on the credit protection, we all know that until we're in a different place, it would not be prudent for me to not say in that instance that the person should seek counsel, because if there was a tax liability that was assessed that was not relevant or didn't apply to them, then, and I'm not a tax attorney, but those are things you should fight.
Exactly.
And I will say I have zealously protected my own credit, because until we open up our minds, that is really the access and path to a lot of things for a lot of us.
Exactly.
But one of the things that I did want to raise that we talked about last night is that I want us to also get innovative around the types of partnerships we ask for. So I was having a great conversation with a woman outside of Baltimore who is just a superstar rock star in the social investing space. And one of the things we kept saying was there's a focus on capital, and we know that capital is necessary, right? And we know that there are challenges around that. But one of the things that really is, it's sort of that give a man a fish, he'll eat, teach him how to fish, is that one of the other things we can really look for, and this is where I say my background is in complex partnerships and joint ventures and things like that, is how do we say, well, give us contracts, give us commitments for something long term in terms of your supplier diversity is one area, or in other areas that allow us to then leverage those contracts for capital in the long run and grow and build our businesses. Give us commitments to branding that allows us to have access to customers, which is another long term. Not the capital today, but it's the long term. We're growing the customer base. We have contracts that we can rely on so that we can staff up our business over a 3 to 5 year time period in a way that is meaningful and allows us to forecast out what we can do in our community. So it's, if somebody, and I always say, if somebody's not willing to write you a check, get them to commit to something.
See, and you're singing the same song we've been singing on this show for 3 years now. We're trying to get small businesses not to just focus on transactional business, because transactional business, customer comes in today, you take care of them. They may not come tomorrow, not next week, not next month. So you don't know where that other revenue is coming from. But contractual business, now you have a contract for at least a year, 2, 3 years. You can budget, you can do projections, you can do all of those things. You can hire people.
And you can market on that,
yes,
right? So that's been something that's been important to me wherever I am, is finding a way to utilize and create long-term opportunities for us to work with Black businesses that allow them to then go out and say, provided that we're happy to make the referral, but that we're making a referral. So if we believe in those businesses, then we should believe in their growth.
Crystal, you have found a gem.
I know.
You have found a gem. She is singing our song.
I know.
That's what we're about.
She came out of corporate. She's from corporate America, so she understands how you scale that business. And I've always said that, right? I started in corporate America. I knew what my exit plan was, but you have to be there because you understand something different. And Sean and I talked last night. So after the recession, everybody's credit was in the toilet.
Yes.
But why did everybody else rise and we're still there? Everybody had to redevelop, right? Everybody had to recreate themselves.
Absolutely.
And that FICO score, everybody was white clean at that point. But why, as Black people, are we still there and stigmatized
That's what I'm
by
talking
that,
about.
where you had corporations? I mean, look at the number of corporations that are bankrupt. Look at the president, for that matter. And she and I talked about that. He's bankrupt 6 companies, but he's still able to go get loans from somebody.
That's right.
So we have to change that mindset, or at least develop other lanes or paths for us to operate in. And it has to come up here, so that we don't feel so demoralized. And I shared with Sean that, over the years since being the co-director of Recycling Black Dollars, I've been to a number of raising capital, or there's abundant capital out there for everyone. And as the banks are having this conversation, and they invited everybody, they had all of us, all the CBOs bring all their people, and everybody's excited because, oh wow, finally somebody's going to give us some money, right? And you get there and they're talking about all these wonderful programs and all this money out there, and then they get to, but it's all predicated on your FICO score, right? And all of a sudden, and I don't even know if they notice it.
It's just like goes out of
it's
the
just
room.
It goes out of the room, and their shoulders drop, and
because they know that they're being unfairly evaluated,
right?
Because those requirements, it doesn't work for them, and that's why, as an economic development entity, part of my evaluation criteria wouldn't be FICO. It would be that company's ability to repay. Because many of these small businesses, they're generating revenues. They're paying employees. They're paying their vendors. And they have money left in the bank. But because the FICO score is bad, they're telling them you don't have the ability to do this.
Or if they don't happen to have capital, look at or collateral.
Yeah.
I mean, look how many people lost their homes.
Right.
So once you lose, and she and I talked about this, why you have to personally guarantee and put your home up as the guarantee for a loan for your business. And what happened? And we're about to arrive back there again.
It's headed there.
So it's headed there again. And so if you lose your collateral, now you're no longer loan worthy, but you've been running a business for 10, 15, 20 years. There's a couple of businesses that have been in LA for over 30 years. And I know one specifically, she cannot get a loan. And they have collateral everywhere. They own half of Central Avenue. But she has been denied a loan so many times that now she's like, I don't even want to go look for it.
And that's something I think our next guest, when he comes up here, we could probably talk about a little bit too, because since he runs an economic development agency, let's see how we can do this, because no longer are we going to depend on certain groups to survive. We got to be self-sufficient. We got to figure out a way. We got to pool our resources and let it work for us, our small businesses.
Exactly.
Yes.
Because we if what did I think? What was the latest report that came out a couple years ago that we're like 200 and it'd take us 250 something years to, it came out, and Michael might know it. It says it would take us 240 years to actually get to the level or on a even basis with white America.
I've heard about it.
I think that was I don't know if it was in the New York Times or Forbes.
There was some study that was done.
That for black people. So, I mean, 240 some years, that's not even, our babies aren't even born yet.
It's not going to happen. We're going to have to take a different course. But we're at the top of the hour. Let's go ahead and take a quick break, and we'll come right back and continue.
And we're going to bring Michael up with Sean, because I think that's a conversation, so he can pop up over here. Excellent. And I think that would be great. Okay, so you don't mind?
Oh, no, of course not.
Okay.
So for all of you who have been tuning in, this is a great conversation. I want you guys to participate. Give us a call as well. Our phone number here is 323-293-3375. That's 323-293-3375. You're on the Business Zone with
Crystal
and Gilbert Buchanan, your small business paramedic. Take a break.
Hello, meet Larry. Larry is a general contractor. Larry is very good at his craft, but Larry has a very tough time managing his paperwork because he is busy taking care of his clients' needs. Larry just cannot find his important business documents when needed. Larry is also being passed over for bid opportunities from prime contractors because he is perceived as not ready. He doesn't know where his business license, certifications, insurance, and other key corporate documents are located most of the time. Lucy owns an auto body and collision repair shop and has been using a business management and procurement assistance program called Small Biz Pro to keep her business organized, business ready, contract ready, and bank loan ready. Small Biz Pro is a 3-in-1 cloud-based business management, procurement, and market research assistance system designed to help businesses become business ready, contract ready, and bank loan ready. It also provides back-office operation solutions for small businesses. Lucy is able to stay ahead of her competitors because she uses Small Biz Pro to manage her business daily. Lucy just clicks on Small Biz Pro from her tablet, mobile phone, laptop, or any internet-accessible device for data retrieval, and she's got it. Lucy introduces Larry to Small Biz Pro, and now Larry is more organized and can now find all of his documents and new bid opportunities in seconds. Larry now saves $120 in labor costs for each missing or misplaced document. Just simply go to your web browser and log into smallbizpro.net and register today for a limited 30-day free trial offer. Services start as low as $1 per day. Let's put the competition out of business. Small Biz Pro. If you stay ready, you don't need to get ready. Register now at smallbizpro.net and begin saving money. Email info@smallbizpro.net or call 626-533-1186.
We're bringing them back. We're doing mountain climbers, but on the sliders. So remember, you can slide on anything. So, here we go. Down into a plank position. Feet are shoulder apart. And bring those legs into your chest. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Slow down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There you have it. Working those hands. Now, for the full video, go to getamerica.com and Dark Exposure on YouTube. See you on Monday.
Hello, meet Larry. Larry is a general contractor. Larry is very good at his craft, but Larry has a very tough time managing his paperwork because he is busy taking care of his clients' needs. Larry just cannot find his important business documents when needed. Larry is also being passed over for bid opportunities from prime contractors because he is perceived as not ready. He doesn't know where his business license, certifications, insurance, and other key corporate documents are located most of the time. Lucy owns an auto body and collision repair shop and has been using a business management and procurement assistance program called Small Biz Pro to keep her business organized, business ready, contract ready, and bank loan ready. Small Biz Pro is a 3-in-1 cloud-based business management, procurement, and market research assistance system designed to help businesses become business ready, contract ready, and bank loan ready. It also provides back-office operation solutions for small businesses. Lucy is able to stay ahead of her competitors because she uses Small Biz Pro to manage her business daily. Lucy just clicks on Small Biz Pro from her tablet, mobile phone, laptop, or any internet-accessible device for data retrieval, and she's got it. Lucy introduces Larry to Small Biz Pro, and now Larry is more organized and can now find all of his documents and new bid opportunities in seconds. Larry now saves $120 in labor costs for each missing or misplaced
And we're
document.
back on the Business Zone with
Crystal.
Gilbert Buchanan, your small business paramedic, our very special guest, Miss.
Sean White.
And we've got a new guest on stage with us, which we're really are welcoming here today. And Crystal, who do we have here on stage with us?
Actually, it worked out perfectly because we actually have two attorneys
All right.
on stage today, but both of them have extensive corporate background. But this gentleman here, Urban League is really close to my heart, and you know that I've been doing a lot of collaborative work with them for the last 10 years, as long as I've been the co-director of Recycling Black Dollars, and I love the Urban League. And but today we have the president and CEO of the Los Angeles Urban League. He's currently serving. They're one of the oldest and most respected civil rights organizations in the United States, dedicated providing economic empowerment, educational opportunities, and the guarantee of civil rights for underserved communities in the Los Angeles area. He began his service as the interim president in November 2017 and was appointed to the president in 2018. In September 2013, he was nominated by President Obama to serve as the United States ambassador to the Council of International Civil Aviation Organization, ICAO, a UN specialized agency, in a position that he held from July 14th to January 2017. The 36 member of the ICAO Council set the standards and recommended practices and policies in support of international civil aviation sector worldwide. Before serving as the ambassador, he served on the board of airport commissioners for the Los Angeles Airport from 2005 to 2011. And the president of the BOAC from 2008 to 2011. And during his tenure, the board was responsible for overseeing the management of the systems of airports under its control, including Los Angeles International Airport, LA, Ontario International, and Van Nuys. And from 1980 to 2011, he practiced law at the prestigious international law firm Skadden, Arps, Slate, Mar, okay, and Flom. LLP.
With that being said, we'll just have him tell us a little bit about it.
Right, exactly. And it's a firm, the largest law firm in the world, with 1,700 attorneys and 22 offices around the world. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you so much for having me.
So pleased to have you.
Welcome to the Business Zone, Mr. Larson.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You know, the Urban League, as I said, is near and dear. And one of the reasons is that my uncle had a career at the Urban League under John Mack, and he actually spearheaded, along with John Mack, the LEAP program, which was, I guess, a $5 million program, which helped contractors or those in the trades get into the trades. And so many of the tradesmen, all levels, the reason they have their license is because he helped them with the pre-testing. So we're now actually in talks again. My uncle still has that program, been doing that program for a long time. And so we talked to Brian over at the Urban League. And so he...
Our COO.
Right. So he's bringing his team of young men, of people, and they're training new guys that are come out of and gotten their license and now retired in the trade, and they're still reaching back to and bringing in and recruiting new people for the construction industry.
Excellent. That's so important right now because Los Angeles is ground zero for the most the biggest infrastructure projects in the country are going on right here between Metro and Los Angeles World Airports and other public-private partnerships. There's more digging going on in Los Angeles than anywhere else in the world.
Yes, we know because we get stuck in traffic all the time. But it is great that we're in a growth process. It appears that it is a great time for us as Black people living in Los Angeles to change our economics, but how do we do that? What are the methodologies? And I think one of the reasons I collaborate is I know we cannot do this in silos, and I know we cannot do this by ourselves. We all have to come together to make a change for our business communities and our families and our children.
Yes, absolutely. You asked the right question, which is how do we move forward and not spend too much more time on why we're here, because we are here because of centuries of discrimination, centuries of holding us back, centuries of making sure that we do not get our fair share of what's of the bounty that was this country and is this country. But there is a pathway forward. And it's going to involve all of us. It's got to be all hands on deck. We can't sit back and wait for someone else to do something for us or give us a hand, because we have got the ability to do it. We just have to put our heads together and make sure that we're holding each other's hands and walking the walk and talking the talk.
That's great. That's great.
And we were having, while you were watching us, having this wonderful conversation with Sean on some avenues and some solutions, because that's where we should be right now, is that solution orientation as opposed to we all know what the problems are. We need to not keep talking and beat them to death. Now we just have to have some sort of solution. So what do you guys think? I mean, in addition to what she's speaking of?
I was fascinated by the conversation and very encouraged by the conversation. Everything you're talking about is critical to making sure that we have the ability to compete in the market on a level playing field, because there hasn't been a level playing field.
Right.
And the algorithmic approach is something that is critical. The FICO score is too broad and doesn't give the correct picture of the people that and the businesses or the people that stand behind them. But I would also say that that's not enough.
Right.
The algorithms are going to give additional metrics, and the additional metrics plus the work that you're doing in terms of helping our entrepreneurs cross the T's and dot the I's in terms of the way they manage their business is going to be very helpful.
Yes. Yes.
But one of the key elements has got to be relationships with the people that have the money to lend, have the money to invest.
Yes.
We have to develop those relationships, and we have to be upfront about the necessity for them. And let's be clear: the majority, the other communities that are above us in terms of access to capital and access to credit have the same blemishes that we do, if not more.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But they still have access to credit and access to capital. And why is that?
There's privilege on their side.
Well, but what is the source of that privilege? The source of that privilege is a relationship between them and the people that have the money.
That is true.
So one of the things that we have to do is develop those relationships. Number one, we have to do what we can to increase the number of financial institutions within our community that are able to play on that side of the game. But even without that, we have to be intentional about developing relationships with the money lending part of the economy. I first saw a glimpse of this when I first started at Skadden Arps. The year is 1980. Carter interest rates are 18%. The prime rate was 18%.
Wow.
You know, we're looking to buy a house. And because of the relationship between Skadden Arps and Citibank, every attorney in the firm was automatically a member of Citibank's private bank. So for me to get a loan, all I had to do was call over there and say, please send me an application. They send an application over. I never see anybody. They
So
send
they
an
don't know
application.
what your skin color is.
They don't know what my skin color is, and they assume, of course, that I'm not black because Skadden doesn't hire black people. Fill out the application, send it in, get the loan, get the house at 18%, what have you. A couple of years later, rates come down to a manageable 13%. Yeah, it was manageable. So it's time to refinance.
Right.
Call them up, ask for the form. She sends it over. I fill out the form, send it back. She calls me up. She says, Mr. Lawson, we have a little bit of a problem. You have too much personal debt on this application. You don't meet the criteria. Do you mind if we white these out?
Wow.
So now you're beginning to see the workings of it, how it works.
Wow. Really?
Yes.
Wow.
You know,
So it doesn't matter for them if they meet the criteria.
Right. They'll white it out.
Right.
So let's fast forward to 25 years later.
Yeah.
I'm now a partner. My sons have graduated Morehouse College. They're investing in real estate. I helped support them in getting the real estate. So the loan is in my name, and we want to refinance again. So the bank calls up and says, I'm not retired, quite frankly, from the firm.
Okay.
And I get this call from the banker saying, Mr. Lawson, we're working on the refinancing of your loan, but there's a mistake on your application. You put your annual income in the monthly income box. I said, no, that's my monthly income.
I love it. I love it.
Just to rub off on you.
But he doesn't stop there. Oh, well, can we see a copy of your bank statements for the last 3 months? Send them those. Can we see the bank
Tax
statements
return.
for the 3 months before that? Can we see a copy of your? Because I'm retired.
Yeah.
Right.
Can we see a copy of your retirement letter?
Oh, my
Sure.
Lord.
Can we see an original copy?
Now you don't have this law firm behind.
Well, because I don't have a relationship with this particular
That's
bank.
right.
Right.
Exactly.
So all of my boxes are checked.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Wow.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We have to develop relationships with the financial. First of all, we have to build the financial institutions within our community
Yes.
so we don't have to go outside.
That's what
Right,
I'm
exactly.
talking about.
I mean, understand that in this town, when you look at the stats in the Korean community, a dollar that goes into the Korean community stays there for over 50 days. And that multiplier effect is why the Korean community looks the way it does.
Exactly.
Yes.
And they also there's something circulating on social media, and I was trying to find it, and I think it was an interview, and they were interviewing. I want to say he was a Japanese businessman or a Chinese businessman. His name is Chang, and so he was being interviewed, and they were asking him his relation about white supremacy, and also what he thought, his views on Black America. And so he basically said, if you're a minority, you are dealing with white supremacy. Doesn't matter what minority you're dealing, who you are, it just you are. He says, but the way we as Asians deal with it is, if you tell us that we can't get a loan at your bank, then we go build our own bank. You tell us our children can't go to your school, then we build our own school. Our focus is on our people. It's not that we don't like Black people. We just like our people more. And we're supposed to. So we take care of our own first. Then we worry about outside. So we don't want our people to be hungry. We don't want them to be uneducated. And we don't want them to be successful. So we make sure we give them jobs. We do everything in our own. He says, but the difference between us and them is we do it quietly. We don't have to have mass marches to do what we're going to do. We just do it, and we do it together. And that's why we are slowly moving in. And they're almost like under the radar because no one's really paying attention to them to do what they're doing because they're not making any big noises about it. They're not wearing their wealth around their neck and they're on their cars or any of that. But they're in their communities doing what they're doing, taking care of their own.
That's exactly right. That is exactly right. And that is a model that we clearly have to emulate, but we don't have to emulate it on our own. I mean, the fact is that we have been, everybody on this panel understands the math of investing and the math of the multiplier effect and so on and so forth. And you know that the worst thing you can do to follow that model is lose money. Losing money is worse than gaining a small amount.
Yeah.
And we have lost is the wrong way. The assets that we had have been taken away from us forcefully through the enslavement period and after. You look what happened in Oklahoma with our Black Wall Street. You look at what all of the things that you guys have been talking about. have been ripped from us.
Yes.
And so we're starting at less than zero in a lot of different ways. So, but let's not talk about the past. The question is, what do we do going forward?
Yeah.
We have to, number one, change the focus to the one that you just described. That is absolutely critical, Crystal. We have to be looking at the next generation and the generation after that. What are we going to accumulate in order to pass on to them the assets that are necessary for them to start not at square one, but at square 10 in a 15 square race.
Right.
So that's critical, but we also don't have to do it by ourselves. I mean, you talked about this Mr. Chang. There are alliances that we can create that will allow us, while we're building our financial institutions, because we have to do that.
Yeah.
We have to rebuild, and we had them. And we can talk about the history of what happened to them, but we need to do that in order to not make the same mistakes again. But the fact is, we need to rebuild them, and in the meantime, we need to collaborate with those who are willing to collaborate with us. And you mentioned the Chinese community. I mentioned the Korean community. One of the things that we're seeing within the Korean community is that even though they have been very successful on an economic front, and I applaud them for all of that, they have not been as successful on the political front as we have been. There is an opportunity for us to collaborate with them, build the relationships that will give us access to credit and access to capital, and work together while we are building ours.
Right.
And move forward. The algorithms, we definitely have to take advantage of that, but we need relationships with the people who have the resources that are going to be beneficial for us, and we need to work together for the benefit of all underserved communities and understand what we can do to. We're stronger together. There's no question about it.
Yeah, definitely stronger if you pull all that together.
I would love to just, because I served as general counsel to a black-owned bank in the Northeast, I have got to carry that point just a little bit further also about how we need to support these institutions so that they don't die. So one of the things is the history of these institutions is they started funding entrepreneurship in our community way before the other guys. When they were redlining us in the 60s and the 70s, these were the institutions that gave us residential loans, that gave us commercial loans for the funeral parlors, for the barbershop, for the beauty parlor, and they are really struggling after this last financial crisis, largely because they're saddled with a lot of new compliance requirements that they face, rightfully so, because the consumer had issues in the last financial crisis that big banks do, and it's hard for them. We don't have, when I relocated here, I realized we have more of them in the Northeast and in the South, but you can live here and have a checking account and do business with a black-owned bank in the South, in New Orleans. I have a good friend whose father is a CEO of a bank there, and he does business development. The bank I was at is in New York and New Jersey. We've got them in Philadelphia, Pittsburgh. We've got them around the country. And if we don't shine a spotlight on them and give them our business, and so many of them after the last economic downturn, when I was there as a part of a turnaround team, have been trying to build virtual platforms so that they can provide services to our community across the country and around the globe. So they're trying to get into the mobile banking that we see that's really sprouting up in parts of the African continent. And we owe these institutions an investment in their survival, even if it's just that you carry a small savings account there that allows them to build up their business base and seek other opportunities. If you have an opportunity to provide them payroll processing services or other things that they offer for your business, given the way the internet works and e-commerce works, it doesn't matter whether or not they're here in LA, you should still support them. So that's something that I feel very near and dear about. And whenever you're at your other financial institution, you should be asking them, what are you doing to support the community banks that lend when you don't? Because large financial institutions can also do joint development deals and and work with community banks and offer them opportunities on very lucrative investments to be a part of that, clubbed into those investments, and all of those things we should be forcing them to do so that our institutions survive. And that's one area here in Southern California where I have seen our Asian communities really do support these financial institutions, and they are here and they're thriving. We don't see them as much, but they are here and thriving, and they really are supporting the communities here.
And actually, years ago, Recycled Black Dollar, when Muhammad was alive, and this when he founded RBD in the 1900 in 19, I think it was in the 19 something, he actually had a National Change Bank Day, and so he moved about $4 million from the other banks to Broadway Federal, and at that time it was owned by Paul. I mean, it was run by Paul. It still is run by black people, and they actually do have a relation. They are private. They are publicly traded now, and their relationship is with the Koreans. That's who is actually there. So that's RBD has always had their account at Broadway Federal, and there are a number of our communities or black businesses that when Muhammad made that initiative, everybody moved. They're still there. But at this point, a lot of their people have retired. And so we really should think about that. And then One United has multiple branches all over. But they're kind of limited in where they lend money. I think they have some sort of criteria. I don't know if they don't do mortgages or they don't do business. I'm not quite sure which one. They don't do one of them. They don't do. But Broadway Federal does everything. They're a full lending bank.
Absolutely.
But one of the issues that Broadway Federal did, and the reason they had to combine their services with the Koreans, was they were the only bank that actually lended to churches. And they got hit hard at the recession. So they're really trying to rebuild from that. But if depositors went over there and we actually embraced them, then at least that's a local black bank in the community, or it's actually now a community-based bank. But primarily their depositors are black over there. So we have to, you're absolutely right, because you got to have people that look like us, that understand us, and while we're building capital. Because I personally believe if you have money, then it's not a credit issue, right? If you can pay your bills, if you have the money. But if you got to move the money around to pay Peter, to pay Paul, because the limits are minor, I mean, you got limited resources, then you got to do what you got to do. And on top of that, take care of your family.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The key in what you're talking about is us being intentional about how we use our resources. We have the resources. We spend our money. It just doesn't get spent in our community.
Yeah. No, that's very true.
My question is, when we talk about these black financial institutions across the country, how do we identify them? How do we access them? What can we do to facilitate the type of approach that you just described?
Sure. So there have been, the CEOs of these institutions have been working rather actively with the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency. So there is actually a list of black-owned banks, and I believe, and I can share it with you so that you can put it on. I think there are
38 of 38 of them or something of that nature. But a great deal of them right now are it was 26. And then the increase to the 38 is that One United has opened online banking throughout the countryside. So they're in a lot of the southern states now. They at one point were just here. Their home base is in New York, because that's where the owners are. But they did a mass, just right around the recession, to expand that to online banking. So they're one of the online bankers.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I think when I talk to people about it, very few actually know how many there are, and that they exist. And when I say where they are, people will say, "Well, I have family there." I don't know if they even know there is one. So that some of that is just knowledge. And
so here's the map.
are you pulling it up?
So that 26 that you're talking about, are they in California, Southern California? Where are they?
Let's see. One United is the green, so they're
it's throughout the country.
It's throughout the country,
okay.
And then you have your credit unions. And at one point, the churches were. I want to say that was back in the 70s and 80s, because I was at Fame at the time. They were even talking about our own credit unions. So I know Cherie Franklin has talked about credit unions, because that's some of the things they got to do for the cannabis, because they can't put their money in federal banks. So they're actually talking about credit unions. So for a while, there was a big push on credit unions. But now, basically these dots represent, and I think I can find another one that represent the banks across. But we only have One United and Broadway Federal.
Yeah,
that's it in California.
Yeah, California's.
And then,
but that's this historically where our populations were in large urban centers. You see them in the South and the Northeast, because that was where we had. So knowing who they are and going out of our way to find them and to use them.
I think going back to Mr. Larson's question about how can we begin this conversation is an entity like yours, the Urban League, if you can do an invitational meeting, invite most of these guys to a meeting, a session, and discuss how we can establish partnership with them, would be a good start. Yeah. That would be a good start, and then talk about how we can prepare the entrepreneurs on our side for what they're looking for, bring that merger together. And we want long-term relationship. We don't just want a transactional business. We're looking for contractual business here. So that, to me, is a good way we can get started on that.
I agree with that. I mean, basically, we need kind of a constitutional Congress, if you will, to sit down and again be intentional about what it is we want to do. Going back to when you introduced us at the in this session, you said 2 lawyers. I want to make it clear, I'm a retired lawyer.
Sorry, but guys,
no such thing. No such thing.
It's always in the DNA, right?
Sure. Okay, we're human. You're retired.
but back when I was practicing, we never walked into a meeting without having a plan.
Right, exactly.
So I agree that we need to have this meeting, but we need to have a plan. Going in. This is what needs to be done, and we can talk about how to do it. Right. We can talk about whether you want to be in or not, but this is going to be done. Yeah. And there's going to be a core group of people who have already agreed to do it. Yes. And we've got to have a long-term strategy for this. The major gains that we have made in the civil rights area legally and marching have always been done with a core group of strong, intelligent folks who look like us around the table, saying, "Here's how this is going to work. Here's how this is going to run," and gathering up allies to help us move it forward. And that's what we've got to do. So I would modify your suggestion with the fact that we've got to get a core group of people who are going to sit down with the knowledge of how the financial services industry works, and looking at somebody who was general counsel of a bank on the East Coast. And come up with a strategy that we can execute on.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know Crystal was involved in a financial, I want to say, conference, phenomena, whatever, with the Milken Group.
Yeah, the Milken Institute.
And you guys sat down and you were trying to come together and put a system and a process together. We had the SBA in there, we had the Milken and all of that. Something similar to that. Yeah, and since you've already been down that road, maybe you can share some strategies that you guys use in that, and I don't know what the outcome was.
Well, actually, it was a white paper created, and I can provide you guys with that.
So it was a study.
It was a study. It was a 2-year initiative that was implemented in Los Angeles and in Baltimore, where the bulk of African Americans, entrepreneurs kind of reside. And we did it in conjunction with the SBA, with Victor Parker. And so we broke up, and he called in all of the CBOs, and we talked about the challenges and the problems. And then we actually created solutions. But then their role was, okay, now you guys need to activate. And so I think out of that came the incubator that Quentin has. That was one of them, because we talked about technical TA support. But there's more to it than just TA support. But that's kind of what they took away from it. So I can share the white papers with you. They're now working on work. There's a new initiative, and it's on workforce. But there's an organization that I met in his name is Willie. The guy's name is Willie Barney, and they're out of Omaha, Nebraska. And they have created it's called Empower Omaha, and they took all of their silos and all of the different clusters, from finance to health to children to education, and they put them all in a working hierarchy. And they're like orbiting around each other. And so he's been doing this for the last 10 years. And so now they have a prototype of it. And they're ready to go around the country and helping everybody do the same thing that have that kind of environment. So out of that environment, they actually, I can tell you what their initiatives were. They did a 360, and they focused on seven different areas, and I think that was on, let me see if I can find it was health, it was the arts, and let me give you the mission of the network. And when I first heard about it, I was at the Power Network conference, George Frazier, and so their goal was to engage and educate and empower, but making sure that everybody wasn't working alone. So everyone in the business community, they needed to all come together and work together. All of the community-based organizations all come together to work together. And then the health and education. So they had each group, and now they're all working within it's like a universe, actually, and they're working. So he is open to coming and sitting down with other organizations or other cities and making that and helping us do what they did. So they now have, for their children, they increased their graduation rate up to almost like 95%. So everyone from that 10-year period that they were working on, gone to college, now they are employed. I think at the time when I first met him, the only thing at that time they didn't own was the hospital, and now they own the hospital. And even at the time that they started, they had people from the outside saying, we want to come in and help, white people, the other national. And he's like, no, we have to do this ourselves first. And we have to build, it's a 7-step program that they have. And we have to do this. We can't have outside help, because what happens is then we lose our own initiative to do what we're supposed to do, right? So the 7-step empowerment program, and I've spoken to him, and so theirs was employment and entrepreneurship, and that was sustainable living wage work. Everyone wants a job, everybody gets a job, and then a career and successful business. And then the next one was education and youth development, and to make sure that the graduation rate and the kids graduating had marketable skills and they were prepared for post-secondary secondary education, sustainable neighborhoods. So they had a whole zone where they built and bought everything, and education programs and for the school, healthy wise, faith, hope, and community engagement, and violence intervention and prevention, health and family services, and finally arts, culture, history, and media and communications.
So this gentleman that you're talking about, where is he from?
Omaha, Nebraska.
Oh,
his name is Willie Barney.
So we'd have to invite him here and pay his airfare and hotel and all that good stuff.
Yeah. But if we got a group of people to do that, he would come out to all of the, we pull all our community-based organizations and everybody else that wanted to get on board, and he would sit down and at least lay out the plan and how they executed it.
I think we need to do something because we constantly rely on the dominant culture to help us, and it's not happening. I mean, and if we do get something, we're going to get a little scrap. And that scrap is not enough to sustain us. We need sustainability. So we got to build our system, our infrastructure, make it work for us. And I don't like throwing out the names of groups and all of that, but I'm just going to do it now. The Asians, you see how they work together?
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
They don't go to anyone else. They do it themselves. Mm-hmm. They've got their banks, Asian banks and all, and investors. And, you have other groups that do that. We're the only groups that are not.
And even the Jewish community. There's a book called the Jewish Principle. What is it called? The Jewish Principle. Right. And they actually operate from this same 7-point plan.
And they did it out of the whatever happened in Auschwitz.
Yeah, the Holocaust. So they created
it. They did it out of that. Mm-hmm. And we are the only ones, we're still here waiting for that 40 acre and a mule, and we're not going to get it. So we got to create our own mule, raise some mules, mm-hmm. and create the lands. You see what I mean? We got to do it.
I think Michael really did touch on it, though, when he talked about the studies that have come out and said how long a dollar stays in a community.
Yes.
And I am a part of a network, African American Attorney Network on Facebook, where we try to make sure that we're getting and finding referrals within our community around the country. Mm-hmm. Started by a gentleman who's a high-powered attorney and just really brilliant, and couldn't figure out why nobody had done it on Facebook before, to use social media just for us to put out those referrals. Mm-hmm. I think we do. There was a great Netflix special, the
Triggering with Killer Mike,
where he tried, and I think I'm often having conversations with people about who their dentist is, who their doctors are, and even if they are at majority institutions. What you find is they can be at a majority institution and still languish because they're not the first choice for the majority patient, but they should be ours. Right. And I think there is still a mentality, which, again, we can talk about where it comes from, and it's a long slave narrative about how we've been taught to distrust each other. And, but and it's the psychology of low expectations that we have for ourselves and we have for each other, but we've got to move past it. And businesses don't always offer you the best customer service. No. That's every business. No. Sometimes businesses have problems on the days you walk in, and that's no reason not for us not to patronize one another and for us not to work together. But I agree with what Michael said about a plan. And even when we're talking about doing things ourselves within our own community, we do have allies, and often we don't get the most out of our alliances because we don't go as a community with these bigger picture, what is this, 7-step Omaha empowerment plan, where we're telling them, you're not just going to give us a little bit of money. We have rallied our community, and we've come together and figured out what our needs are and where we're going to put it to use. And now we expect your alliance to come meet us because we know our history in this country, and we've already paid that debt. And so I agree. The relationships are key, and people have asked me about the steps I've taken in my career and where I've been and what I've done. And it has always been important to me to be in a room because so many opportunities, relationships, access to capital come just by being in a room. The number of times I have been in a room where somebody says, well, why exactly are we doing this affinity marketing for black people? And I've been like, excuse me? I guess I was supposed to be here today to remind you that this is not a question you get to ask.
That's right.
Today. We have paid this forward already. And in corporate America, if we are not there constantly reminding people that there is a debt to be paid, that we are a valuable source and community in this country, sometimes that gets lost on people because we see it from our own perspective. And so it's about building the relationships, but it's also about making sure our pipeline says to our young people, to our old people, to everybody, go get where you need to get and be okay being the only one in the room and be okay standing up for something and be okay trying to navigate those relationships and take what you learn back to our community because we have been divorced for so long from the whole process of something. They kept us down here, and we didn't see that whole process, which is why workforce readiness is also something that I really appreciate, because I think we need to get into places and see what people do and how businesses run and what's successful, and see models of leadership and other things. Because one thing about this Empower Omaha concept is we see the successes of big tech companies like Uber and Facebook, and maybe Facebook's not a good example, but we see that, and we think it was just 3 founders sitting in a room, but when you go and actually read their story, you realize they sat in a room, and then they got introduced to this CEO, and then they got invited to attend this think tank at this university, and they did a boot camp on entrepreneurship, and then they did a small business boot camp, and then they got flown to meet the CEO of the similar company, and their private equity investors then got them access to meeting here and flying there. And so we see that and think, oh, it was just them in a room. But it really was an incubation process that was a whole lot of things that came together that prepared those 3 people sitting in a room who don't know any more than we do, aren't any smarter than we aren't any more capable, but gave them the tools they needed to level up that business. And so that's what I see this as being about. Like, let's find our people with good ideas.
Yeah, I believe that's what Michael was saying about the relationship.
Absolutely.
That you said it perfect.
Yeah, that was perfect. And that's what we need to do. And actually, we live in a technology world today, so we actually could have a telecommunications conference with Willie Barney and his group, at least to lay the groundwork to have the conversation.
That's true.
Invite those of like-minded and synergy to sit down, and they cover each of those 7 points and tell you how what the ground floor was and how they moved through for the last 11 years in order to do that. So it does appear like they've been doing this Rebuilding the Village conference. They're having it on February 11th. Right, but it's like right now. Yeah. But we could actually have the conversation. I've actually already had an initial conversation with him when I was at the PNC conference last year. And I told him that I was going to come back home and I was going to talk to people. And I've talked to a couple of people. And they're like, oh, yeah, that's a good idea, Crystal. But we really need not just talk.
Can you reach out to him?
I can.
And let's organize a conference. And if Michael is available and Sean, we can do this.
I'm all for it.
Absolutely.
So you guys tell me what you guys want to do, and I will give him a call next week. And let's see what we can get some dates, and we'll reach out. And then I guess we need just to sit down and say, who do we want to invite to this meeting? Now, Michael, a number of years ago, Operation Hope actually did it. And Leo knows how it works because Leo was the one that put it together. And I've actually had this conversation with Leo. They reached out to all the CBOs and all the bankers, and that look like us, and we all sat down and we had a conversation, and then and so John Bryan was putting together something he was doing in Atlanta, and he was presenting it. But Leo knows how they put that together, and the number of people who was invited to sit down and have this conversation, and we were getting to solutions. But then we never went any further. But because I again think we didn't really have a game plan, right? We didn't have we need something that's already out there. And we don't have to reinvent the wheel, because that seems so daunting when we say, okay, where do we start from square one? But my thing is, if there's somebody already got a plan and is already successful and it's been working for 10 years, why don't we adopt that?
Why reinvent the wheel?
Right.
Yeah. So, Michael, let's say a session like this is established. And you mentioned earlier that it's good to know what the game plan is going into sessions and meetings and all that. What do you think our game plan could be for a meeting like this?
I think we have to do it in a way that's different than the way we've done it before. Quite frankly, what I'm hearing us talk about now was what we've done before. We sit down, we have a conversation, we map something out, we say, oh, this would work, and how do we do this? And we look around the table and we wait for somebody to write the first check. And we're still sitting around waiting for somebody to write the first check. But I will say this is changing. I would point to the Black Economic Alliance, which is a PAC that has it started, I think, late last year. It's an African American PAC that is where people of who have the resources wrote the check. And there is money in the pot to have an influence on the politics of this country in a significant way. But it starts with people making the commitment. If you don't make the commitment, you don't get a seat at the table.
Right.
And then once you have that, now you move on. And this is not a new concept. This is I'm borrowing it from the Jewish tradition. Where's your check? I need it now.
Yeah, there you go.
And if you're not putting in the check, you don't have a say in how this thing is running. Now, I'm not suggesting that we have to limit this to our brothers and sisters in the financial services industry who have all of that money, but we have to meet people where they are. And once you have that commitment, however small, as long as it's significant to that person is now invested. And once you have someone invested in whatever we're going to put together, now people are paying attention. And the next step, which is the step that we don't take. We've had fits and starts in this idea for a long time. Now, mind you, I am not ignoring the fact that we were so far ahead when we had Black Wall Street in Oklahoma, and it was destroyed. Now, and understand, there's no question about it. If we do this and we do this right,
they're going to come back
we
again.
will be attacked because they are afraid of us.
And they're at that place right now. They're so terrified right now that they're using whatever guerrilla tactics they really can because they're afraid that, and I think I mentioned to Sean, and it makes sense to me. If I was sitting in their shoes having done what they've done, then they're probably going, wow, why haven't they attacked us? I'm waiting for them to attack us, right? Because that would be the human reaction to what's going on. The more they suppress, at some point you're going to back them into a corner and they're going to come out and they're going to just to tear to the wind and say, okay, we're done with this. And we're almost there. Those are those little episodes that are happening, and now that racism is out frontal, it's like being in George Wallace territory right now, and it's across the country.
I would suggest to you that it never went away.
It didn't.
It's always been
but
there.
It's been suppressed. But it
hasn't even been suppressed. We just didn't see it.
Ah, okay.
It's there. It's and make no mistake that it is prevalent and now they feel comfortable saying it out loud, but they were saying it when we weren't in the room.
Oh, yeah.
So it has...
Yeah, because they're too comfortable saying it now for it not to have been conversations already being had.
Exactly. So we need to be very intentional about what we're going to do, and we have to put some skin in the game to move this thing forward. And we can do it. We are the most resilient people on the planet. We are the strongest people on the planet. And it has taken all of their efforts to try to keep us down. And so once we get back on our feet, and we are in the process of doing so, and that's a function of us working together as opposed to working alone.
Yeah.
We are a powerful force, as you guys mentioned in the other session. We are the most creative people on the planet. You can't go anywhere in the planet without seeing some vestige of Black American culture. And we are not the ones spreading it.
Right.
So they are coming here, taking what we have and reproducing it. We're the smartest people on the planet, and they know that the only way to defeat us is with force and incarceration, and literally killing us.
Yeah. Yes.
That is the only way to keep us down. So we need to understand how powerful we are. We do not understand our own strength. We do not understand our own strength.
I think building that into strategy, going in with a strategy, is also recognizing that they're going to come after us too.
Oh yeah, we know that.
And put that strategy to counteract that, because it's going to happen. Any successful entrepreneur ideas, invention, you always have knockoffs. You always have, someone trying to emulate you or suppress you. Like they call them the big box. The big box guys try to step on you. And if they can't step on you, then they try to buy you out.
Acquisition.
Yeah. And if that doesn't happen, then they try to partner with you. And when they partner, then they try to suppress you while you're a partner. You see what I'm saying? So that's part of our strategy here, where we want to put that strategy going into this and anticipate that those things are going to happen, so our strategy can circumvent those things.
And I think the Asian is absolutely right, though. You have to use a stealth type of mission.
Oh yeah, you got to be stealth,
because you got to build the foundation strong enough so that while you're stealthily doing it, then and by the time they do get to you, and if your links are strong,
you've got your reinforcements.
Then it's harder to break through a strong link, but it will all of us fragment, which was the reason the colonizers did that in the first place, was to make sure that there was always weak links.
This is definitely a great discussion.
I just wanted to piggyback on your analogy to the Asian strategy, because part of it is having a long-term vision.
Yes, you got to have a long-term, like you're investing an investment.
Right.
So we're not doing it for us. We're doing it for our children below us. That's why I work so hard with the Biz Camp and everything, because it's not about us.
Right.
It's about our children. But right now, I look at my nephews, and they're coming out of school with loans, and they can't leave home. They literally cannot leave home because they can't afford to leave home.
They can't leave home, and the parents can't stop working because they're paying the mortgage.
Right, you're paying the mortgage.
Everybody's locked down. But the fact of the matter is, we are where we are because we didn't get that head start. Every generation starts over. You guys have talked about this so many times. You understand it. Your audience understands it. We have to start the next generation with a head start.
Yes. Yeah, legacy. We have to create the legacy.
The intergenerational transfer of wealth has got to be first and foremost on our minds.
I think so.
So, Crystal, what's our next move on this? Gotta reach out to Mr.
You guys. I'll call him and find out what dates, and then we put together some dates. And Michael, you're sitting at the table. Sean, you're sitting at a table. Let's get some people that we know gonna make a move, and not just talk about it, and let's make it happen.
Who are some of the other people that we can get?
I was just going to add, his event is coming up, so to the extent that he will let us dial into some portion of that, or
I will ask that question.
That would be great.
I'll ask all those questions. Yeah, because they have that event coming up on February 11th, and they're not even a big group. They're a small little group of people that have just
But see, you couldn't tell. Looking at this, you couldn't tell.
No, when you look at this is literally, I think it popped. That's their whole group.
See, I do agree with the stealth idea. I've been saying stealth for the longest time. When they do see you is when you're super prominent. There's nothing they can do.
There's nothing they can do.
It's nothing they can do.
There's nothing they can do about it.
Yes, a small group of dedicated people do wonders.
Oh, yes.
Do wonders.
Absolutely.
Oh, yes.
Absolutely.
And if we care about our community, we care about our children, we care about us as black people, then that's the requisite right there. None of the nonsense, none of the drama. We just got one focus and one focus only, that we're leaving something better for the children that are not even here yet.
Right.
So we're at the top of the hour, and this time went by so quickly.
I know. We had two great guests.
Yes, this is phenomenal.
Had a great conversation. So our action items, I'll make a phone call on Monday.
Yes.
And then we'll go from there.
Yes.
And actually,
this has to happen.
Yeah, well, actually, Monday we'll be in a conference, but I'll leave a message for somebody, but I have their information, so I'll make a phone call. And I think that's the case, and then we'll go from there.
So we want to thank our very special guests. Do both of you have some final parting words you want to share with our audience?
I just want to thank you for inviting me. This has been wonderful. This type of conversation is the one that we need to have more and more, and we need to follow it up with action. And I love the fact that we have our action plans together.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Definitely.
Sean?
I just wanted to share something that always heartens me. It's a quote from Martin Luther King Jr., and it says, "Human progress is neither automatic nor inevitable. Every step towards the goal of justice requires sacrifice, suffering, and struggle, the tireless exertions and passionate concerns of dedicated individuals." And it feels daunting at times, but it's what we're here for.
Yeah.
You know, it's our liberty, our economic advancement, the eradication of poverty and economic instability
Yes.
are going to take every day, and we should be proud of those efforts every day.
Yes. Thank you so
Fantastic.
much. This has been wonderful.
It's been fantastic. You got anything coming up?
Well, I have a workshop at the Vermont Slauson Economic Development Center every Tuesday from 5:30 to 9 p.m. And this is at 1130 West Slauson Avenue, Los Angeles. The class that's coming up this Tuesday is procurement and finding contract opportunities. This past Tuesday we had certifications. This time we've had procurement. So it's going to be great.
Okay, and I'm doing the digital marketing classes, helping our business owners create multiple streams of income. Any way that they can bring in more money other than what they're doing from their businesses, which, sometimes just doesn't work. And so I'm doing that. I'm speaking at the annual the Coalition of 100 Black Women of the Los Angeles chapter tomorrow.
All right.
For the 4th Annual Women's Entrepreneurial Empowerment Afternoon Tea.
Very good.
So I'm speaking on entrepreneurship, unlocking the entrepreneurial spirit.
Yes.
And then that's tomorrow, the 9th. And then on the following week, which is the 16th, I'm speaking at Jefferson High to young kids, high schoolers, on entrepreneurship. And I'll be talking about the Biz Camp. And then we're actually launching, starting the 15th, we're doing a Biz Camp. It's actually with the YEC, and we're selecting 9 kids to represent the Los Angeles Urban League, and these kids are going to compete. They're going to create a joint project, and they're going to compete for a $5,000 prize, and that's being sponsored by Union Bank and the YEC. So
and we also want to let you all know that the winner of that competition will be on our show as a guest.
Yes, for sure.
Right after.
And then we're gearing up for our 2019 Biz Camp and summer camp that we do in the summer in June and July.
Excellent.
So we're gearing up with that and putting the plan together. And we will be educating 50 students, young people between the ages of 14 and 18.
It's beautiful.
So that's what we're doing.
Excellent.
Beautiful.
All righty, guys. It's been a fantastic show again. I will provide you both with the clip from the show, so you can put it on your websites or wherever you want to do with it.
Do you want to real quickly give a phone number, an address, location, how people can get a hold of you?
I can be reached. I'll give you my personal email, michael.lawson@laul.org. We're at 4401 Crenshaw Boulevard, Suite 201.
Excellent.
And I'm Sean Ray White at gmail.com.
Okay.
Excellent.
All righty, guys. So enjoy your Black History Week activities, and we will be back next week. I will have gone through a whole lot of Black History events next week. It's like on and kicking now. The Pan African Film Fest is in place starting this week, I think. And so we'll be there, and there's a bunch of stuff going on. So you guys enjoy. Share on our Facebook page, The Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert, where you're going. And we'll see you next week.
And
Have a great week.
you know, The Business Zone is on every Friday from 3 to 5, morrismedialive.com, and we look forward to having you. We're out.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
See you next week.
As a small biz pro, so we roll, using procurement, program, and control. As a small biz pro, so we grow, using procurement, program, and control. I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. Oh yeah, I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. Oh yeah, I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. have my business plan? Just review the pages of my marketing plan. Crystal Mitchell, do you have my business plan? Just review the pages of my marketing plan. Got my capability statement, yes, I'm ready to go. Got my balance sheet, my P&L, my statement of cash flow. I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. Oh yeah, I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. Oh yeah, I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. Oh yeah, yeah. Crystal Mitchell, do you have my business plan? Just review the pages of my marketing plan. Crystal Mitchell, do you have my business plan?